All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here. Let me just make sure this mic is okay. I got to make some changes to this microphone. Anyway, hey, thanks for joining me for another Bitcoin video price action analysis session. I'm also going to review the other markets as well in this session. I am simulcasting on TradingView. All right. So hello, everyone there. It's good to see you, as I usually do on Monday. Just real quick, if you are watching me there and you can't see me on the screen, make sure to press the refresh button on the browser, and that will usually solve the problem, okay? So I'm gonna be switching back and forth here between TradingView and YouTube. So I suggest if you have questions, now would be a good time to put your questions in the channel so that when I get to the Q&A portion of the stream here, I can answer your questions, okay? So if you have a question about a stock or an altcoin, please put it in the channel now. I'm gonna make this screen bigger, so don't worry about that. If it's an altcoin, please make sure to put USD or USDT after the symbol so I get it correct. And also one symbol per person, please. I'm looking to keep this stream at an hour, okay? All right, so with that being said, let's get this thing started. All right, let me just put this up here real quick. This is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right, and again, just a quick hello to everyone, right? We got Stian, good to see you, Elijah, Levant, Jeff, Bach, all right, James, good to see you, Joel, all right, cool, good to see you all. Again, I don't see anyone here in TradingView here, but you guys, you know, once you come in, also, if you'd like, just as a fun fact, if you want to share what city or what country you are from, that's always fun to hear. I'm streaming from New Jersey, which is part of the greater New York City area in the US. All right, so let's get started here. First things first, today is Monday. Before I go over and get into the charts, I want to mention that the first thing you should always do on a Monday is check your economic calendar, okay? You can check it on TradingView, you can check it anywhere else. They're all pretty much the same. What you're looking for are any major economic events. This is particularly important if you are working with Forex pairs. And this week, we don't really have anything heavy, okay? There are a couple of items worth mentioning, like we have Bank of Japan, interest rate decision. Also, I believe that's on Wednesday. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have the calendar in front of me right now. I believe on Thursday, we have GDP annualized for the US. That might be Thursday or Friday. So double check on that one. But I know we have GDP this week, and then we have durable goods. And I believe that's on Friday. The durable goods orders, I believe that's at 10 a.m. on Friday. So again, double check on those numbers. There's some other things spread out during the week, but there's nothing major. When I say major, I'm talking about FOMC meetings. I'm talking about NFP. I'm talking about CPI, things like that. We've had those in previous weeks. I don't see any Chairman Powell speeches. So it's a pretty light week. Now, that's important because going into the next week, we are strict holiday mode. Now, if you don't know what that basically means volume will go away. And it's usually not worth taking any risks, particularly on smaller time frames. So you can forget day trades. It's usually a bad idea. Trust me, I've tried many, many years, okay? It's like weeks 3 and 4 of August. They're just not worth the trouble. So in fact, I'm not streaming next week at all, okay? So I'm not gonna do this 3 o'clock stream that I'm doing right now. I'm not going to stream next week. I'm taking the week off. I have a lot of other work to do, and these streams are not very productive for me. Okay, so anyway, let's get into the charts now, shall we? Too much of my big head over here. So let me switch this over here, and we're going to go make the charts a little bit bigger. There we go. So you should be able. Actually, you know what? I like this one better here. That's better. All right. So the chart's not like enormous, and I'm a little bit bigger. You could see me a little bit better. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin first, and then I'm going to get into the other markets. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. For those of you that have been following my TradingView articles, the week before, I outlined my swing trade idea short, okay? I outlined it a week in advance, and I said, if we get the setup, I will be open to calling the trade. So on Wednesday, after the FOMC press conference, after the close of the market, Bitcoin delivered the setup. And there it is. So that evening, I put the trade out, not publicly, but those of you that follow know what I'm talking about. And the trade was called at 17,595. So this trade is doing very well since then. We had a little talk earlier about moving the stop to break even. I sent that out on Friday. Okay, for those of you who know where to find that information, that was sent out on Friday, which makes this swing trade a risk-free trade. Okay, risk-free meaning that if you give anything back right now, you have 1,000 points of profit in this thing right now. It's not your money. Until you close that position, it's not yours, which means it's the market's money. So if this thing goes all the way back to break even, you're giving back all of the market's money, none of your own. That's risk-free. Does that make sense? If you think otherwise, you are full of greed and you will pay. Okay, the market will make you pay for that. Now, so that's that situation. So now what do you do from here? Well, here's the thing. So right now, this trade here is working well. There's no conflicting signal. There's nothing to do but let it run. Now, it's not at its profit target yet, but it sure is close. I mean, it's getting there, right? It's only a few hundred points off. I'm not going to share the specifics here. Those of you who know where to find that, you know where to find that. No, I'm sure most of you are familiar with that number. Now, here's what I suggest about that number. If the market gets there, that's the place to take off your risk. But the question is this: what if the market doesn't give you a reason to get out, right? What if you just get a straight red candle and there's no conflicting signal? Well, here's where you have to make a decision. The profit target that I suggest it for particular reasons, and that's a good place to remove your risk. But if you want to give the market a chance and you want to be a little more aggressive, you don't have to take the full position off. You can take half. Okay, let's say you have two contracts. Let's say you have futures contracts and you have two of them. You close one. Let's say if you have straight out, Bitcoin, and you have, I don't know, you have $1,000 on, you close $500 worth. You close half the position. You close 50%, and now what do you do with the other 50%? You let it ride. Okay. Now, is that a function of greed? No, because you close something out, right? You've reduced your risk, and if the market doesn't give you a reason to exit, then you let it pay you more if that's what it wants to do. Now it's just a matter of listening to the market. It becomes a function of greed when the market's giving you a conflicting signal, and now you're looking for every reason to stay in when the market's saying, don't stay in, I'm taking the money back. Now you have problems, okay? We don't have that situation yet, but here's another example of greed. You may say, well, I'm going to hold the full position and I'm going to have a home run. I mean, the Bitcoin testing 14K is within reason, okay? It's within reason, but you're taking more risk. There's no guarantee it's going to get there. The general trend is bearish. The general structure, everything supports the test of 15K and a break into the 14s. That's possible. But if you think you're going to hold your entire position for that, you risk giving everything back. Now that's greed, okay? If you lock some portions in along the way and then you want to give the market a chance to see if it can pay, okay, great. You're locking in, you're reducing risk. Now, keep in mind, by playing that game, the running game, right, letting it run, if when you get the conflicting signal, you're going to give back something, okay? You're going to give back a portion of what you got, but it's still going to be, you're just giving back profit, right? And if you close that position, you're still locking the profit. That's the main thing. And more importantly, that profit should be greater than 1-to-1 reward risk. At this point, it's just about, it's slightly greater, okay? At my profit target, it's an adequate amount, okay? An adequate reward risk ratio, and that's why I suggest taking most of it off. Now, how you handle that from there is up to you, but this is a risk-free trade. I can't tell you what to do with this from this point on. I suggested moving the stop. It's up to you from there, okay? But this thing wants to continue. It wants to continue. Now, what's driving this? Have you seen the Nasdaq? Let's start looking around at some other markets. So let's first start with the bond market. All right, ZN1. For those of you that don't understand the bond market, I suggest you start learning about the bond market first. So I've been talking about this thing. I mean, look, this thing has been stuck in this area right here. This is not bullish. This line that's been on my chart for quite some time is a resistance. It's fooling around basically at a resistance. It's respecting the resistance. And look at the weekly chart. Look at this. Does this look like a bullish market to you? I hope you say no. Look at the resistance. Look where it's hesitating. This is potentially a lower high on the bigger picture. I mean, look, there's nothing bullish about this. If these bonds over the next few weeks push to that low, rates are still rising. There's nothing bullish. There's nothing to be optimistic or excited about. Stocks are going to suffer, right? That's all we can say. And the bonds are they're at an important inflection point, but they're not. They're just stuck here. Perhaps they're waiting for GDP. Perhaps they're waiting for something. I don't know. But this is not a good place to be going long. That's for sure. This is a resistance and a place to be going short if this was another market. So the bonds are still pointing to a bearish environment. That's an important key piece of context, which is part of the reason that I'm always talking about the short side of Bitcoin. I have not called a long, and I'm a Bitcoin bull, okay? I have not called a long since like May, not one long. So if you're following clowns that are calling longs on the swing trade time frame, you have to wonder what their rationale is. The bond market says no longs. Now, so that's the bond market. Let's switch over here. Let's take a quick look here at the stock market, right? Let's take a look at the Nasdaq 100, tech stocks. Look at this thing. This thing broke a key support level. I was talking about this earlier. And let me point something out. Like I pointed this out earlier. This right here, right? If you were fooled by that, that was the Chairman Powell speech that we had a few weeks ago where he said he was going to lower rates at a slower rate or whatever. He was going to raise rates at a slower rate. And the whole world said that we were going to blah, 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 right? If you got sucked into that, that's your own fault. There was no reason to be long on that, okay? That means you have a reaction problem. That means you have a Captain Obvious inside of you that you have not tamed yet, okay? Now, since then, we had over here, this candle right here, see that? That was CPI over the previous Tuesday. CPI came out initially, cooler than expected, blah, 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 got everyone excited. Next day, we had we had FOMC, right? Chairman Powell's speech. That was this candle right here that I'm highlighting. Since then, as you can see, the market has been in the toilet. You see that? So any type of optimism that you got sucked into, that's your problem. There was no reason. And if you listen to my streams, I mean, I've talked about some potential swing trade ideas, at this support level possibly. But I warned that this thing can break. And if it breaks, we got this. Okay. This NASDAQ was minus 169 points today. And it's still open, but I don't think this thing's rallying anytime soon. This thing is on its way to here. Don't know if it'll get there, but that's what it looks like. That's not optimistic. I've been warning people, this is not a good time to be investing in stocks. It's a good time to be planning investments. I'm definitely planning, and I'm definitely picking my stocks in advance, but I am not putting money into this. Okay, I haven't even started, not with the stocks, for the inventory. I haven't even started. I'm still selecting them. And I'm in no hurry. Let's just put it that way, because this market looks ugly. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. And again, this is a testament to trusting the price and not what people say. There's nothing bullish about this. How many times have there been bullish talk and bullish this and bullish that, only to get lured into a lower high? This thing can very likely push that low. Look at the lower high over here. Lower low is likely over the next few weeks. So, again, you need to stop listening to people. You need to stop being fooled by the illusion of news, right? The illusion of information. Their objective is to just generate revenue from your attention. They don't care about the outcome. So they'll say whatever they want, whatever generates attention. All right. So if you're new, I'm talking to people that are new at this, because usually people that are new grasp toward the news because they think the news is where where the truth is, and it's the worst place you could possibly look. Okay, so anyway, that's the Nasdaq. Nothing good going on there, but I like this price action is great for planning, especially over the next week. I'm going to spend a lot more time assembling my portfolio plans that I'm going to be talking about, in the future. Okay, so that's the Nasdaq, right? Let's now take a look. We don't need to look at the S&P because it's the same thing. I mean, I'll pull it up real quick, but it's the same exact thing. In fact, the S&P is the leader here, right? S&P, it's pretty much the same deal. Okay, coming off of this, you want to argue it's a head and shoulders or whatever. I don't get sucked into that kind of stuff because I realize that patterns like head and shoulders can be random. It's the location, right? It's the location of where that occurred was the key thing. And of course, those key driver events, and now this thing that's it, the party's over. So, we're just looking at support levels, and the support levels are likely to break. We'll see. Maybe they don't break. That would be a new piece of information, but right now, not looking good. Okay. So that's why I've been telling people, if you were investing in this environment, small bites. I've been saying that for a long time. All right. Let's jump over here to the dollar index real quick, and then I'm going to get to your questions. I'm just jumping through these real quick because we need to see what's going on here. Right now, the dollar index is a key piece of information. It's obviously it's a reflection of the bond market. Okay. Now, I've been talking about this support area. I shorted the euro 3 times and basically took 3 losses in a row on the euro because this thing just couldn't get its act together. Right. Well, here's what we have here. We had a temporary break of this support area, and look at the recovery. So now we have a bullish pin bar developing here. The dollar is trying to hold up in an area where the dollar is likely to hold up. Man, if this dollar starts pushing resistances like this one right here, then it's probably going to start to assemble a new bullish leg. If that's the case, then euro is going to be a short again, Stian. I'm waiting this time. Let's take a look at that euro because I want to short the euro again. I think it's a little early to short this euro. This is a bullish trend right now. I mean, on the short term. All right, bigger picture, there's nothing bullish about the euro. It's just the dollar, right? This is just basically the inverse of the dollar here. So we get this, look at the pin bar, the weekly pin bar from the week before. We take that out, we'll have our sell signal again in the euro. And that sell signal, we get the weekly sell signal, that can take us back a couple hundred pips, right? That's the trade I'm looking for. And something like the euro, again, that's going to depend on that dollar getting its act together. So I'm still interested, Stian. I'm still interested in that euro short, but it's got to do better than this. This is too early, and I'm tired of getting caught in that thing. I don't want to, get caught in another loss for no reason. So we'll wait on that one, but I'm certainly watching it. Okay. So now with all that, I covered all the major markets. Let's start going over the markets that you want to see. Okay. So I'm going to start over here on the YouTube side, and let's see what we got. All right. So the first one I see, euro. All right. So James, I answered your question. Euro for a short. Nope, not yet. James. Oh, James from London. Is that Jamesy from London? Because I know I have a James or Jimsy from London. And now whenever he comes on, I say, oh dear, from London. My Londoners. My British accent. But yeah, it's still a little early. It's still a little early, but I'm all about shorting it if we can get the right signal. Okay. All right, Joel, good to see you. I'm just going back. So can you please analyze Tesla? Okay, Levant, Tesla. So Tesla, obviously a mainstream stock. Understand something about Tesla. It's part of the S&P 500. It's going to move like the market pretty much. Now Tesla still has its own little feisty personality, right? So like today the market's red and Tesla's actually green. So that's a little unusual, right? Okay, fine. Now this is a daily chart. It's sitting on its lows. Now this thing has broken a number of supports. So here's the thing. At this point, this is beyond the fake out area, right? The fake out area was pretty much like right over here, and it's beyond that. So you have to be very careful with this. Let's take a look at a weekly chart and just see what kind of levels we're dealing with here, because you're fighting a lot of bearish momentum. So you have an old resistance that dates back to 2020. and it's starting to find some support there, right? Some temporary support. So there's a couple of ways you can go about working with something like that. For one, if you take a trade, a swing trade long, it's aggressive because you don't have any formation here. All you're getting is basically an inside bar, a buying attempt in an area where, okay, this is likely, and maybe that's why you have some buying that's starting to occur here. You have a market that's sitting on its low. If the market bounces, this is likely to get a little action going, okay? But how far, there's no way to know. It can go up a couple of points and then turn right around again. So something like that, when you take such an aggressive trade, if you take something like that, for one, the candle needs to close. For two, the high of the candle, the high of the current candle needs to be taken out. Your risk is defined by the low of the red candle. So you get something like that. Keep in mind, it only may make it a few points. You have to stay on top of this, and your expectations need to be very low, because you're fighting the bigger picture. You're fighting all this bearish momentum, okay? You're fighting a rising rate environment, so you should expect small. If you're risking, let's see, what's the risk on something like this? The high is 156, the low. You're looking at about 10 points of risk, something along those lines. Maybe you give it 12 points to give a little room, which means you need to have like a 12-point target, okay? So the high here is 156. So you're looking at like 168. Where is that? That's just below this area right in here, right? To justify your risk, you need to push up into that area. That's a reasonable area to push into if you get a temporary bounce. I mean, look at these temporary bounces. Look at that one. But if you make the mistake of thinking you got the bottom and you're going to hold on, that's where you can run into problems. Because again, you're going to counter the bigger picture. If you want to wait for, well, when is Tesla going to get its act together and start to show a more consistent bullish structure? Well, you need to start clearing resistance levels, and that's the first key one right there. All right, and what price is that? That's 196, basically 200. You need to clear 200. And in order to do that, you're going to need an S&P that's in your favor. And in order to get an S&P in your favor, you need a bond market that's in your favor. All right, all that is tied in. So that's what I say. If you want to go for the aggressive swing trade, okay, fine. Just understand your expectations need to be very small. All right, so at least try to justify your risk, and then that's it. All right, let me jump over to the other chat here. I see a few questions. Let's see what people have to say. All right, hey, Moon. All right, good to see you. Cool. Well, I wouldn't say for sure. Those are not good words to go by. Nothing is for sure. All right, from Norway. Okay, welcome. Can you please check RECSI? Okay, it's a stock. All right, let's take a look. REC, yeah, nothing is for sure. RECSI. Okay. And oh, is this like a on the Euronext? I guess this is it right here. Okay, let's take a look. And let's go to the weekly chart first and see where we are on the bigger picture. All right, I have a method to the way I'm looking at these. I don't specifically mention each step here, but the first step, there are 6 steps that I basically run these things through. And when I'm on the day trade time frame, I'm only running through 3 of those steps. But the thing is, I want to be familiar with the trend and the levels. Those are 2 very important steps of the process. Now, as far as trend goes, I mean, going all the way back to 2021, that's a consolidation, clearly, okay? Clearly, we can argue that it's a higher low consolidation. Okay, fine. Now, based on that, the midterm trend consolidation, that's pretty clear. Short-term trend is bearish, right? We have these lower highs and lower lows going into this range support area. Now, you have this little section right there. It's a possible double bottom area location, right? But the thing is, that's not the range low, okay? The range low is here in this area. So the range low is around 13.25, right? 13.25. And right now you're at 15.52. So it's a little early, although something may happen here. You have to keep in mind, this is not an S&P stock, obviously, right? It's on the European whatever, OSL. So you need to pay attention to the broader market. And as we can see, like in the US, the broader markets are lower, and global markets tend to follow each other, right? With the S&P typically being a leader in that area as well. So the markets need to find some sort of bottom. That means that you have some time on this thing. I wouldn't be in a hurry, okay? If you're looking for a swing trade. Now, I mean, look at the way we're going to the daily chart. Look at how the price has been stabilizing, in this area over the recent few days, or going back actually a couple of weeks. And in the recent couple of days, it's trying to find this bottom here, right? This is a failed low situation in an area where that's likely to occur. The thing is, you have to pay attention to the context, right? So just like that Tesla example, you have to realize if you go for something like this as a swing trade, okay, but don't expect much. All right. If you can get a push up into this area right here, that would be a good profit target to measure by. All right. But the point is, it may not even get up there because the structure right now is generally bearish. You're fighting bearish momentum, and this thing has a little bit more room before it starts testing the range low, right? A couple of dollars lower. So, keep that in mind. I think, in my opinion, you're just better off being patient and seeing if you get that test of low, especially in this generally bearish environment. It's not like we have a nice, easy, bullish environment and these things are pulling back to supports. We generally have a bearish environment, and this thing may break these supports. That's likely to occur. So I would just be patient with that. If you want to be a little more conservative with it, because again, you can go for this now, but it may only go up a bit and then stop you right out. So you're going to have to keep an eye on it. You're going to have to keep a tight stop and be prepared to get stopped out because you're going against it. Now, for this thing to show a little more positivity, you need to start clearing resistance levels. And this is your first one. You need to start clearing them. And the structure needs to change. If you're looking at, I'm looking for more of a bullish trend and you want to invest or whatever, that's what you really should wait for in that scenario. Does that make sense? Okay, so good question. Let me see what do you have. Hey, King, how are you? How are you? From Santa Ana. Okay, cool. California. Can you please have a look at gold? Sure. Gold. Now, are you talking about gold, the metal, or gold, there's a lot of golds. There's like the ETF. We'll take a look at gold, the metal. I'm assuming you mean the metal itself. So here's spot gold. It's the CFD. All right. Now, keep something in mind. We're going to go to the weekly gold. Gold is just a function of the dollar. That's all it is here. It's a function of interest rates. It's the same deal. Everyone got all excited with gold, but if you look at, the euro had a similar type of situation, right? So it's all against the dollar. Look where gold rallied to, this old resistance, and it's still now acting as a resistance. These are weekly candles, and gold is having problems around this 1800 area, right? At this time, you have this doji. You take out the low of that doji, gold is then giving a sell signal at that point, which means it can pull back, right? And a reasonable area to pull back to on gold is going to be like 1688, around that area again. So I've been warning people about gold. They get people, you think gold's going to rally now? No, I don't think gold is going to rally because we don't have that situation yet. We need cheaper dollar, and the dollar is sitting on its bottom right now. If the dollar continues higher, gold is going to go the other way. And the dollar has high potential to do that right now. I don't think the dollar bull is over just yet. Maybe it's changing. I could be wrong, but I need to see evidence of that, and I just don't see it yet. So I don't believe in gold right now for the short term. I just don't. All right, especially since we're at a technical resistance. So if you want to be a buyer of gold, I mean, gold is tough to short because, the whole world thinks gold is blah, 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 right? Gold is gold. If you're looking for a long on gold, at least wait for the pullback, right, to this old minor resistance here. Maybe you get some support around those, 1700, something like that. That might be a good place for a higher low and a much better place to be buying gold than where this thing is right now. Does that make sense? So again, keep in mind, when you play gold, you're just playing the opposite side of the dollar. That's it. Okay. I don't care. Gold fundamentals. There's no golden floor. No, I don't want to hear the conspiracy theories. It's all nonsense. It's all retail nonsense. Don't pay attention to it. Follow the price. The price does not lie. People lie all day long. The price does not. All right. So good question about gold. I hope I answered the right question. Hey, Malad, how are you? What is your thought on the S&P for the next year on the weekly chart? Okay. Cool. So yeah. Tell Mayor Mike I said hello and tell him to stop being cheap. I know one of these days I'm going to come to the city. I'll let you know. but I don't know about this month. Okay, so let's take a look at S&P. You want to see the S&P? So I touched on it briefly before. Let's go to the SPX. All right, SPX USD, and this is again the CFD. Now you're asking about the year, so this is the weekly chart. Okay, so I mean bigger picture. Look, when we look at the bigger picture, you say, oh, that's a bullish trend, right? But you have to understand something. All of this nonsense, right? All of this nonsense is just Fed stimulus. That's all it is. Ever since the Fed pulled the rug from under the market, we have had this. Okay, so the S&P again is going to be a function of Federal Reserve choices. Right now, the Fed is still raising rates, and people maybe at a shorter pace. I don't know. I have not listened to the outcome of the FOMC meeting on Wednesday, but just judging by the market's not too happy about it. Okay, I mean just judging by the prices. So as far as S&P goes, for the year, first of all, you can't look a year ahead from where we are now. If you had done that a year ago, right, and if you look at all the analysis, right, at the beginning of this year, right, if you look at that and you look at all the garbage analysis and all the morons with their moronic stories, they were saying the S&P is going to triple, and Tesla and Apple and all this other and altcoins are going to go to the moon. And now, of course, we laugh. Oh, they were so wrong. Well, I knew to stay away from this market. But my point is, at that time, they're always projecting the continuation of this trend, and we get the complete opposite. So you can't look ahead like that. You have to look at the factors that move markets, and in this case, the Federal Reserve, right? They have not signaled anything of importance yet, and the bond market doesn't reflect anything yet. So based on those things, I have to assume that we're going to stay bearish or generally bearish or neutral until we start to get some signs from there. Maybe in 6 months, they start changing their tune a little bit more. Maybe they let off on the rates. Maybe they stop raising rates. Those would be some important signs, okay? But we can't sit there and bet on those things because markets are random. And until we have that information, we can't make any decisions this far in advance. So I go by, again, looking at the weekly price structure. I suspect based on this, if it follows through, we get a test of that low over the next few weeks and perhaps a break, right? A break lower. As long as rates are rising, it puts pressure on these things. That needs to stop. And then perhaps we'll see a stabilization here. Maybe that stabilization, maybe we're a few months away from it. So just keep that in mind. Maybe we don't see any significant change until the next presidential election cycle, because that does have an effect on markets and market perceptions. So we have to see. But my point is, you can't make a judgment that far in advance. Hey, Sheplik, all right, give me 100 coins. Sheplik is like number 2 at TradingView. For those of you who don't know, you have Stan, he's like Dr. Evil, Austin Powers. Stan is like Dr. Evil, and Sheplik is like number 2. I heard Sheplik even wears an eye patch for no reason, just because he's number 2. I'm joking, okay, my bad humor. Anyway, thank you, Sheplik, for the 100 coins. I really appreciate that. I always make like a TradingView joke. I'm like, yeah, you guys can't give me like a free subscription or something. I'm joking. Sheplik's going to take back his 100 coins now. Anyway, thanks, Sheplik. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. So that's pretty much where I am with the S&P. You can't judge out that far in advance. We have to work with what we can see for now, and then look at how the economic cycle is changing. There is this thing called the economic cycle, and that's where the bonds lead, right? So that's why I always tell you, check the bond market first. That's where the cues are going to be for the change in the S&P. But right now, this S&P looks like garbage. Okay, and it's likely to continue that way until we see changes. So I'm not gonna. You can't forecast that far out in advance with any type of accuracy. All right, and anyone that tells otherwise, because again, this time of year is when everyone comes out with their ridiculous forecasts, right? I guess because it gets a lot of eyeballs. Don't pay attention to that stuff, please. All right, good question though. Let me see, what do we have here? Wine trader. I like that, wine trader. Okay, trade wine. I can trade some wine. Avid listener. Oh, cool. Since 2021, and just wish to offer. Oh, cool. Thank you. All right. Just wondering if you could share with me other channels you share information on. Well, just look at my signature. I have all that stuff there. Okay, if you just look in the signature portion of my thing there, I have all my links there. I have to be careful what I say on TradingView because they have house rules here and they'll kick me out. So anyway, I'm joking, but no, you just check the signature. All right, cool. So let me just check over the other chat here. Let me see what I have. Bach, you're in Manhattan? Oh, cool. See, we're gonna get a group together. We got Milad over there, who lives next to Mayor Bloomberg. You're in Manhattan too. All right, cool. I'm very close by. Oh, here we go. Bald, pale, and handsome in full view. I hope you're a woman. I need women to say. Women don't say that, especially in this area where I am here. It's really bad. You have no idea. It's really bad. I blame that on the efficiency of dating apps. Anyway, Alex, all right, cool. Good to see you. My Romanian, my one Romanian. He's still here. Okay. No problem, Mr. Plow. Bach, 10-year treasury. Okay, got that, Bach. I answered that one. All right. So let me go over to the other chat here. Let me see what you guys got. All right. So what? I can't read the name there. Sorry, my eyes. BP. Okay, BP. Question. Yeah, I'm still going. All news. Does it affect the long-term trend, or is it okay? No. Okay. Good question here. Or is it technical analysis? Actual? No. All right. So first of all, forget news. All right. Let's go over Bitcoin. Let's go back to Bitcoin here. Let's forget news for a moment. News is just is something that's at the moment, okay? And it's the worst possible information you can use to make decisions. This is a weekly Bitcoin chart. So you have to realize this, and it's not Elliott wave and all that stuff either. Technical analysis can help us gain a sense of perspective and gain a reasonable grasp on what's reasonable in the near future. Right? And we can gauge our risk and we can gauge some loose probabilities. That's where the value of technical analysis is at the retail level. I was telling people earlier, the advantage, I have no advantage. There's no advantage on the retail level, not at all. Charts don't give you an advantage of any kind. There's no inefficiencies, right? You need inefficiencies to make money. So what I'm looking to do as a retail trader is basically capitalize on the mistakes of others, right? It's behavioral. And that's, I think, the only chance we have besides trends, right? As long as markets trend, we can do something. But besides that, this game is a really bad place to be trying to make money, especially on small time frames, okay? And I'm a CMT. And I went through years of learning all that stuff, and I can tell you that most of it is just a gimmick. Now, so news, the function of news basically just pushes price to where it was likely to go anyway, just faster. You cannot trade on that information unless, of course, you have the news before everyone else, which is inside information. If you don't have that, then you're just reacting like everyone else, and there's no advantage to doing that. You have to grasp that markets are generally random. And as new information comes to the market adjusts, okay? So that's why I can't sit here and forecast, well, where will Bitcoin be a year from now? Where will the S&P be in a year from now? I have no idea. And you have to go into it with that kind of thinking. I have no idea. I can assess what's in front of me. I can look at levels. I can look at context. And I can put a puzzle together that basically says, probability favors this type of outcome. It could be wrong, and that's why I have to look at risk. The skill in this game is how you manage risk and how you take losses. That is the skill. Also, patience is a big component of that. I mentioned that earlier. Patience. Those are the things you should be focusing on, not news and charts and all this other retail garbage that is there to basically get you to take trades, because that is how the industry makes money, on your trades, okay? Not on your outcome. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, okay. King, one more thing. I suspect someone is impersonating you on Twitter, asking your followers to invest in this entity. Trust Trade Finance. Okay, appreciate that, King. Oh, I think you sent me a message about that. I haven't had a chance to respond. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, there is a fake me running around. And someone started a fake Twitter account. I think it's Mark P. Market without the S. I believe. I thought they pulled that off Twitter. I guess it's still there. Okay. I don't reach out to people on Twitter, number one. Number two, I don't have any kind of Telegram channel or anything like that. I do not have that. Okay. The things that I do have, you can see in my signature. I don't have a Telegram channel. So if you get scammed by the fake me, I can't help you. Okay. But I can tell you the fake me is probably having a hard time making money because if I can't get people to pay me, man, I can only imagine how hard it must be to be the fake me. Okay. When you're a leech like that. So anyway, thank you for pointing that out, King. Yeah. So watch out for these scammers. I can't believe someone would waste the time to try to scam people. My followers, most of my followers are very well informed because I've shown, I make them aware of all this stuff. On top of that, number two, I have a very small following. So, go pick on someone with a much bigger following. What a fool. All right. Anyway, please. So if you get scammed, I can't help you. All right. I have a Twitter account, but I don't reach out to people on my Twitter account. I don't know how that's possible, what they're doing, but you should report them right away. If I reach out to you on Twitter, it's a fake. Report the fake me right away to Twitter and have them remove that page. It's ridiculous. Okay. Anyway, I have that same problem on Discord. I have a fake me running around, and I put all kinds of warnings about this guy. I think he's Russian. Sorry. I mean, I'm just because I saw some Russian writing somewhere. I'm not just saying that. Anyway, sorry, Sheplik and Stan. All right, so it's probably Sheplik. I'm joking. All right, bad jokes. Any other questions here? All right, we're doing pretty good with time. Any other questions? So you understand where I'm going with this Bitcoin thing? You guys follow that? Look, that weekly chart. You saw that weekly pin bar on Bitcoin? You see that? I pointed this out before. We take out that low, which we're about to do. That's a sell signal developing on the weekly. Okay, that's what you pay attention to, not what people say. If that sell signal follows through, it's possible this thing can reach the 15K area. It's possible. So again, we can't know with any degree of certainty. So what I tell people, account for it. That's what I tell people. Account for 14K, account for 10K. Ask yourself, what will you do if it goes there? Are you in a large position right now and it would really hurt you if it goes there? If that's the case, then you should reduce your position, not hope. Hope will not get you anywhere. Can you please have a look at Alphen? Sure. All right, let's take a look. Alphen, ALFEN. What is that? Is that a stock on Euronext? Is that correct, Stian? Well, must be, yeah. Okay, Stian asking me. So let's take a look. Weekly, right? First thing I want to see, bigger picture. So I don't know what business they're in. All right. Sometimes it helps to know, like, are they, electric vehicle stock, or, what do they do? Are they in biotech? That kind of gives you a little bit of context. All right. Now, bigger picture, general trend here is bullish, right? We can say higher low, higher low, higher low, higher highs up to this point. And then more recently, in the recent, I guess you could say, a few months, you have this pullback structure. Okay, fine, no problem. So the recent momentum is generally bearish, but the overall trend is not. And you're sitting here on this support level. All right. Now, maybe this has something to do with the euro. Maybe the euro movement will affect something like this. I don't know. But at this point, Stian, all I can say is you are in an area of support. A place where buying activity is likely to develop. You can make that argument. Now, when you go to the smaller time frame, so you're in there, right? But at this moment, there's no reason to step in front of this. On top of that, I mean, recent momentum, look, lower high, right? Recent momentum is bearish. So this thing may break that support. So if you're not in it, best thing to do is step aside and wait. I mean, today's closed. I guess this thing is closed now, right? So I guess you can argue there's like you have that little doji situation in there, and you can argue that's almost like an inside bar, and you may get a buy signal off of that. So it's aggressive, just like those other examples we looked at today. It's aggressive because you're going against this recent momentum and recent structure. If you go for that, you're just going to have to keep your stop in a reasonable area like that and be prepared. It can get stopped out very quickly. It may go up a little bit your way and then turn. So if you're nimble and you see the turn, you just get out, right? Try to minimize that loss because you're going against the bigger picture. And we're fighting a generally bearish environment. So please keep that in mind. If it happens to work out, and starts to test this area up here, then you have a nice swing trade on your hands at that point. But I wouldn't be looking for more than that, right? Like looking for something like up here that seems unreasonable right now. Okay, anything is possible, but you want to work with probabilities that are more in your favor, not get into these hope scenarios. Does that make sense? So you're in an area of interest, but there's certainly no signal there. You have a potential setup and no signal, and it's highly aggressive. Does that make sense? Okay, good question, Stian. All right, let me see here. Any other questions? Any other questions? Good questions. Oh, so charging for oh, so they do charging. Oh, okay, interesting. I mean, that's an interesting sector. All right, and as maybe they have a future when EV really starts to take hold and the market starts to improve in general. There'll be a lot of demand. I mean, I see these charging stations going up all over the place where I am. All the supermarkets and convenience stores. I see these stations popping up everywhere, and so obviously there's some potential there, right? Something is happening, but it's just still a little early. So don't get overexcited. This might be a good longer term investment idea, and these may be some good prices for inventory. But as far as swing trades go, everything I said, just hopefully that makes sense. Pull back because of the euro. I mean, possibly with a stronger euro. TWT USDT. Sure, Alex. Haven't we looked at that one before? What is that one? I think you brought that up before. TWT against Tether. Look at this, right? So these altcoins, let's go to the weekly. These altcoins, right? People, they capture people's attention. Understand the altcoin game is nothing but deception. It really is. I don't care what they say about how great they are and they're going to be handling the future of NFTs and all this other garbage. It's a very, very risky game. I mean, look where this thing was just a few weeks ago, right? To the moon and back. So here it is, right? You're sitting on this support level. You're sitting on it's an old resistance, new support. There has been some buying activity over the previous week in this area, okay? So you have those arguments going for you. But the thing is, the week just started. You have this inside bar. It's starting to overlap into the tail there. You see that? And there's no signal. There's no reason to get involved in this. The problem here is you have all of this momentum behind you. So this thing, it's too early to say anything about it. All you have is a support level. Trust wallet. Oh yeah, right. Okay. The trust wallet. And I think they got all that hype because the guy from Binance talked about it or something. Again, so you're playing the hype game with these, right? If you happen to be in it when all that hype was happening and you got out, obviously someone was getting out here. Look at these tails. Someone knew to get out, okay? And then the people that want to hold the bag jump in because they just can't get enough, and then they get caught. So I mean, yeah, I'm speaking just out of anecdotal whatever, right? There's no evidence, but I mean, look at the tails though. Someone was selling something there, and look where this thing turned. Right? It never got really beyond the range of the longest tail. So it's a pullback. It's a higher low. Again, this is the weekly chart. So it's in an area of interest, but there's no reason to get involved. All right. At least you have the whole week to play out. So look at the daily chart. Okay, I could see why you may have some interest. Look at the pin bar on the daily. Okay, I get it. That's a nice looking pin bar in an area where a pin bar is likely. But if this is just hype, also you're fighting a weak Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about to break its supports, possibly. Bad idea. Okay, just bad idea to get involved because chances are this thing you're just fighting a tough market. Okay. Interestingly enough, look at this price action right here. Right after its initial sell, right? When the initial people were selling here, and it made it back up to that area. Nice double top, right? Double top, you have a compound double top, right? Followed by, when I say compound, it's because you have a double top within a double top. You have the major one, and then you have this little mini one. Look at that. I mean, it was just saying, get out, get out, get out. If I mean, man, look at that. There was no reason to be long that thing at the second time that it went up there. Anyway, the party's over there. right? For now, nothing to do here. Even with this bullish pin bar, I would not give this bullish pin bar a lot of weight in light of the Bitcoin situation. These things, they move on some hype, and then once the hype is out of the system, it's back to following Bitcoin, right? So I would keep it on the radar if you're interested. Maybe you get a buy signal over the next few days, and maybe that buy signal takes you back to here. There's a consolidation there, so that would be an area, that would be a reasonable target for a swing trade. That's all I can say about it. All right, does that make sense? Good question. Trade trust trade finance. I can't believe they have a thing called that, and that I would come out with something like that. Unbelievable. What is interesting is that TWT looks like it never entered a bear market. Well, that's because of nonsense, right? I mean, because people talk. That's the only reason. These altcoins, they can take on an unusual shape. Thing is, never entered a bear market. This is not exactly bullish either, right? That's what it was before the talk. So that was just consolidating into the middle of nowhere, and then there's talk. Okay, great. There's the FTX situation, and then there's talk. A lot of when they suck everyone in, or whoever wants to get out, right? They build some hype in on this thing, and then whoever knew what was coming gets out, and the party's over. That's when everyone gets stuck in this thing, and you see things like this, right? You see things like this, where everyone was having a party, and then the party's over, right? And then look, another party, and then not quite. So it's all nonsense. You can't you can't have any faith in these things, all right? They're just basically they're just instruments to steal, right? To rob you. That's basically what they are. And you have to look at them like penny stocks. I say this over and over. You've heard that speech before. And I'm not completely opposed to altcoins, right? I want to put some money into altcoins. I'm open to the idea, just not right now. Now is a bad time. And the reason why I say that, and I don't care, you'll find some outliers that they get hyped, and they look like they're going to go to the moon and blah, 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 only to get everyone sucked in again. People just don't learn. We're going into a regulatory environment. All right, it's coming. People don't really talk about it much right now because it's not getting a lot of attention. All right, they're all focused on SBF videos, right? Everyone makes SBF videos right now because they finally got him in jail and blah blah blah. So everyone's capitalizing on that attention. But the regulation is not really in the headlines. Wait until that comes out. And then we'll see the truth behind these, because if these things start getting regulated as securities, the party's over. All right, you're going to find out some really harsh truths about a lot of them, and I would not be surprised if a lot of them have to close shop because they can't afford to continue to operate with all the new regulatory fees and everything else that they're going to have to pay. All right, that's typically what happens. So I have no optimism or any faith in these things until we go through that and we get some more definition from the regulators on how these things are going to be regulated, or how they're going to be viewed in their eyes. All right, that's very important, and that's information that we do not have right now, unless of course someone who works for the SEC. Maybe you do. All right, or like the head of the SEC. And then you can find out how the future of these things. But right now, I have no optimism at all because of that lack of certainty. And I just finished saying I do want to get involved. There's nothing wrong with investing in these high potential coins, but understand the high risk involved. Okay, people. Nice trading view idea. Okay, cool. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but all right. You have to understand something. People, they when it comes to like investing, they only take in like what's in front of them, and they like to go on hope and this sounds good and blah blah blah, but they don't consider what's not in the system yet. And regulation can change things dramatically. And there's been a lot of talk of they're going to change things dramatically. Just a case in point. a year ago, right? It was about maybe the week. It was like, I think it was on 24th or the 25th. It was something like that, right? It was the fourth week of December. Chairman Powell came out in a very quiet speech, and he said he was going to raise interest rates. He said he was going to. He made some mistakes, and he was going to raise interest. Everyone ignored that speech. Some people talked about it, but the market generally ignored his speech. Okay, and we saw what that eventually led to. So that's what I'm saying. You don't see it. You don't see it coming. I want to be involved in highly speculative things, but they can go to zero. So money has to be allocated to them very carefully. Like I said, I'm going to spend the fourth week this month continuing to assemble my portfolio ideas. I would like to include some altcoins, but most likely the coins that I'll be looking for are coins that are really off the radar, or maybe they don't even exist yet. Okay, that's a consideration as well. One thing I know for sure, a lot of these mainstream garbage altcoins, they probably won't see the moves that they saw previously. Like people made all kinds of money in like these ridiculous coins like VeChain. They took big chances. VeChain could have went to zero, right? But then it had some kind of spectacular move, and you hear about all these people made all kinds of money. That was just random. Okay, no skill involved. They just threw a lot of money at it, and all that money they threw at it could have vanished. It could have. So, you have to be very careful with that. Can you please look at CHZ? Would you do a swing trade on it? All right, let's take a look. CHZ. All right, how am I doing with time? All right, I got time. CHZ. USD. All right. Yeah, it's not, what is that? Oh, Chili's. Oh, we looked at this not too long ago. Okay. So this here is the daily chart. Let's look at the weekly chart. So again, this thing is against the dollar. All right, well, the dollar has been, obviously, the dollar has pulled back, right? But this is against the dollar. So the CHZ is obviously getting hammered here. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you on this one. Look, first thing, as far as trends go, bigger picture, this is really like a very broad consolidation, right? There's really no trend there. You can argue it's a higher low relative to this thing, but I would not really be. This is on Binance. I would not really factor that in. Look at the level here. Look at this level, right? You're going to a range low that dates back all the way to what, July of this year. You're going into that area, so it's an area of interest. That's all you can say. Otherwise, I mean, this price action here is horrendous. If you buy into something like this, I mean, that's a really bad idea because the momentum is bearish. It's respecting resistance levels. It broke these supports. You had a support area right there that it broke. Bad. That's bad. Okay. Bad structural thing there. So you're going back into this area right here. Wait, just be patient. There's no reason to get involved in this thing in any type of hurry. Let this thing test that support and see how it goes. Again, you are going against a weak Bitcoin here. Okay. So let this thing just settle. If you're going to take any trades in this, for one, something like this, how much is this thing? 10 cents? This is usually not a good choice for swing trades. So you're asking me, would I do a swing trade on this? Definitely not. Okay. Not even a thought, not even maybe, just nothing. If you're going to play a game like this, it's usually better for the bigger picture. Like you build some inventory, and you have to do that very carefully, right? You have to do that very carefully here. Maybe you allocate, $100. It's going to depend on how big your portfolio is or something like that. But something like this, I usually say, 1% of your portfolio, maybe 0.5%, and then you take that and you don't buy it all at one price. You spread that out into buy orders, right? You can use limit orders in that case, and you put them you put some maybe at prices that can be reached very soon, and then you put some orders at ridiculously low prices. And then maybe you get like a spike or something that taps you in, right? Maybe you get something like that, but you don't put all your orders, you don't put them too close to each other, or you don't put them all at one price. That's, novice type of stuff. That's retail trader type of stuff. Okay, so anyway, I hope that answers your question. I'm not familiar. I know we've talked about this one before, but I don't know exactly what they do. As far as swing trades, no. Hey, what is your thought on silver? Okay. Relieve Hawk from Paris. Hey, welcome. Good to see you. All right. So you want to see silver, XAG right? Here's silver. Okay, look, silver, again, you're playing the dollar game here. Silver and gold. It looks just like gold, looks very similar. Silver, you can kind of compare silver to like an altcoin versus Bitcoin, or like an Ethereum, which is an altcoin, versus Bitcoin. Silver has its own personality. It's a little more feisty compared to something like gold. But again, don't like just like all that gold stuff that I said, the same goes for silver. If gold is not going anywhere, silver is most likely not going anywhere either. Silver follows gold, right? So you have this sell signal developing. Notice though, silver broke this was an old support, became a resistance, right? And silver cleared that. But again, like I said, silver is feisty. Silver is stuck now in the same area, right? It's stuck in here. And we saw where gold was. If gold pulls back and we get strong dollar, this is pulling back most likely, okay? Because you're fighting the dollar. If silver does not pull back and we get a dollar spike, then silver would be acting relatively strong. But I think it's reasonable to anticipate that if we get the dollar spike, silver is in a vulnerable place, right? Not a good place for longs. This does not count as a pullback. This is hardly moved, okay? And the dollar hasn't even gotten started yet. So just like gold, I would look for if you're looking to go long silver, wait for like that area right there, which is what, the $20 area, around there, 20 and a quarter. That's a nice round number on top of that. Anyway, it's around 22.95, 23 right now. So the $20 area would be a good place to look for a higher low, but just keep in mind, you can't just step in front of that, okay? Silver, again, if dollar goes back to its highs or whatever, silver is going to probably test the low. So you have to be very, very careful with silver. I suggest, like, if you're going to play silver, unless you're playing short term, like the CFD is appropriate for short term trades, swing trades. I wouldn't recommend day trades, but swing trades, that kind of thing, right? If you're playing the longer game on silver, you should consider physical silver. You should consider actual coins, the actual metal. You should consider that kind of thing. You can also look at silver stocks, right? A very famous silver stock is AG. So, I mean, the stocks are going to move. They're not going to move one-to-one with silver, right? AG is a very popular silver stock. This thing hardly goes anywhere. So you want to play silver on the long term, consider a stock like this. I mean, it has some wild moves occasionally, but that's a good way to accumulate without getting the full exposure to silver. Okay, does that make sense? I think FCM is another one that's affected by silver. FCM, I think it's or no, is that the right one? I think I got the name wrong. I forget what it is. It's Freeport McMoran, whatever it is. I forget the symbol. Oh, here it is. FCX. FCX. That's almost like FTX. Yeah, so that's another one, right? I mean, look at this recent movement. That's interesting. So if you're going to play that game, and again, it coincides with that move in gold and in silver, right? You're going to play that game, you're probably better off looking at the stocks, right, than the metals themselves. Otherwise, do it with the bigger picture. I mean, do it with the physicals, which I can't sit here and talk about lots of physicals because I'm not an expert on physicals. There's a lot more variables that you have to consider when it comes to physicals. But you can just buy the metal outright, for the spot price plus a spread that usually you get from a dealer. Okay, so anyway, I hope that answers your question. All right. No, you have to, but you have to refresh the browser. Okay. How about Ethereum? CHZ was hype going into the World Cup. It's a sports token. Oh, thanks, Dean. Okay, yeah, thanks for letting us know that. Yeah, if that's what all that was moving CHD, you're nuts. CHZ, whatever. For sports, come on, man. I mean, that's all hype. So Ethereum, look, I'll go over Ethereum. Ethereum is basically just Bitcoin, mini version of Bitcoin. It's like the silver to gold, like I just finished saying. So, you look at Ethereum, it's the same deal. It gets a little feisty, right? Breaks some levels, gets everyone excited. And then when Bitcoin pulls back, this thing goes back into the toilet where it belongs, okay, like everything else. So Again, there's a sell signal in this thing, which occurred the same time as Bitcoin. Okay, back here, that's the FOMC outcome. It's the same story. In fact, you could have taken the Ethereum short instead of Bitcoin. It's the same trade, but not a good idea to take both. It's one or the other, right? You're getting the continuation pattern inside of here. It's the same deal, right? So testing these lows is still a reasonable possibility, especially if Bitcoin goes for its lows. No reason to be buying this thing, all right? Just absolutely no reason. These things are all in a bad spot, and you say, oh, but that should be good, right? Yeah, generally you're not buying the highs, but these things break supports, which is likely. You don't want to be caught in that, right? Let them break the supports. If you're going to go long, you want to go aggressive, you want to go long, wait until it pushes the support and starts sucking in all the shorts, right? An extreme area. That your chances are much better there, at least for swing trades. But of course, it's nice to have a setup to go along with that. If you just step in front of that, you don't know what you're getting into. Okay. Yeah, always remember, risk comes first. Risk first. Okay. Okay. No problem. No problem. The chat is messed up also today. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe it's something going on with TradingView. I'm not sure about that, but okay. My chat looks okay. Maybe you have to refresh something. To the toilet where it belongs. I know I'm a little harsh with some of these things, but come on, it's an altcoin. Okay, 2020, the small brewer one, the 28. Peter's just messing with me. Yeah, I know he's just messing with me, Peter, because I'll go nuts when you say something like that. But I was gonna know who said that. That's Peter. So Peter knows me. You're not gonna get a rant out of me, Peter. All right, I got to wrap this up, people. So again, if I missed your question, I apologize. I'll be streaming in other places this week. You can find me, just check the links in the signature and all that stuff. But next week I will not be streaming on Monday. I'm taking the week off. Okay, so no stream on Monday next week, and then after the new year, I'll be back on, on my Monday schedule at least. Okay, you guys. So yeah, let me just move this back. So again, if I missed your question, like you know where to find me, all that stuff. Okay, hold on. All right. So again, hey everyone, I want to thank you all for taking this time with me here today. I hope you got something out of this stream. It's important that you get some perspective. If anything, just always focus on the risk first, and please learn how to pay attention to price, because you can't go wrong with price. Okay, price can give you a lot of information if you know what to look for. So again, enjoy your holidays, everyone. Enjoy the new year and all that other stuff, and I'll be seeing you in other places. Okay, so again, no stream next week, but I'll be on after that. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world, and thank you for watching.